thank each and every one of you that have come out to participate in this King Day celebration, this honorary, this commemoration that we have for the Reverend Martin Luther King. I'd like to give a very special thank you to my mother and my father, Reverend Jesse Jackson. It's been over 50 years strong, 50 years having laid the foundation for Operation Push, for Rainbow Push, for having this room warm enough, this building big enough that we can all sit in here and commemorate the life of the Reverend Martin Luther King. And I tell you, I specifically say Reverend Martin Luther King because the world wants to call him simply Dr. Martin Luther King. But you become a doctor when you have a thesis and you write a paper, and that's your idea. But you become a reverend when you have a calling from God. That's the vocal, the call. So even in salutation in your writing, you put reverend above the doctor. You don't stand up when the politician comes in the room. You stand up when the minister comes in the room. Let us always remember that this may be a celebration of a birthday for some to see Dr. Martin Luther King, but this is a moment of commemoration for the Reverend Martin Luther King that did not give his life. His life was taken. He was slain. He had been assassinated. I want to thank the CEO of McDonald's, my brother and friend, Brother Joe Erlinger, who's here with us today, who has stood by his commitment to expand diversity, equity, and inclusion in the community. Give our brother Joe a loving round of applause. Stand 1 second, Joe, raise your hand. One thing I would like for you to take away on this day is, what would Reverend Martin Luther King be doing? My father, Reverend Jackson, was planted in this building, in this city, if you will, by Reverend Martin Luther King. My father was like a very young seminarian. He did not have the support of his father and his family, the maternal, the paternal. They didn't quite understand what his mission was. He was married to my wife. They were young parents without all the resources that they needed, but they were believers. They came to this cold city from South Carolina, from Virginia, seeking opportunity to build a family. They went to the University of Chicago. They got into the seminary. They weren't looking for the wealth of the world. They were looking to make a difference. And with 3 children, my father saw Reverend Martin Luther King again, and he says, Jesse, I want you to join the movement. I've seen you in North Carolina, and I've seen you around. And my father said, but I'm here on scholarship at the University of Chicago in seminary. I've got 3 babies. I need the student housing. Reverend Martin Luther King, knowing his time was short, he says, Jesse, I can teach you more about the seminary in 6 months than you can learn over there in 3 years. Come and join. And my father never looked back.